The best thing about Man U for me this season, by far, is they've had the player of the season.
The what?
By far, the number one player of the season has been at Man U. You know who he is?
David here.
Wout Weghorst. That man is the funniest player I've ever seen. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And me, Yahoo editor Chia, Keong. And the happiest fan in Singapore right now, Haizam Shah, Man City fan.
Yeah, could you all give him a round of applause, please? Because this is the only round of applause a Manchester City fan is getting today. So can we clap for him, please?
Thank you.
And that was my shamelessly indulgent effort to tell you that we have a live audience today.
Yeah.
For the first time. Oh, that was a big woohoo, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what,
Woohoo. We have a live audience. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming. This is our way of thanking our regulars, our podcast contributors, and everybody else who have supported the podcast this year.
And who knows, if it keeps on going until the next season, we might have to do more of this.
We will. It started, you and I, and that gentleman over there who's hiding, Brian. It started with the three of us sitting in Lau Pasat. Right? And now our clips, more than 500,000.
500,000.
500,000. Thanks to you lovely people. So last time, give yourself a big round of applause. Last time today.
Thank you for all your
Thank you
support.
very much for all your support. Couldn't have done it without you. Great stuff. Thank you very much. But it shows me, serious point, it shows me that we're finally catching up with the podcast streaming generation. It was guys like him doing
his own
Snapshot.
podcast.
Yeah, Snapshot Studio.
Snapshot Studio. Several of our friends here, Rasvinder in the audience, one or two others have had their own podcasts running in Singapore for a while. And I think that, plus the fact that StarHub, with their streaming services for EPL this season, has shown us finally catching up the rest of the world, because my daughter thinks cable television is something in a museum, right? So you've got the streaming platforms, you've got the podcasts, you've got you and I being recognised by teenagers. Absolutely fabulous.
Like One Direction and that.
Don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. Yeah, Harry Styles maybe. So, no, it's fabulous. We're moving in the right direction. So we want to thank you for doing that and for making us appealing to the young people.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it's great that, through this podcast, we get to know a lot of like-minded people who are doing the similar podcasts in Singapore. When we started, we thought we are the only one, but obviously we were wrong. But it's very, very good to see so many like-minded fans who are doing this thing, and podcast is really catching on in Singapore.
But more importantly, that actually care.
Yeah.
They actually care not just about English Premier League, which is important, but also local football. The abuse we get on a weekly basis is up there with Jose Mourinho in his Man U days, man. That's how much of a breakthrough we are having. We're cutting through.
Keep the abusers coming in.
Keep the abuse coming
comments
to
coming in.
Haizam. All right? No, I'm just kidding. You got some last week.
Oh my God.
You got some last week.
I got the worst laugh from our last week podcast that were saying that,
that's the thing,
Glory Hunter. And I will not name names then. Apparently we have 6 Man City fans in Singapore. I'm not going to name names.
It's just your family though, right?
That's me, my cat, my fish and all that.
But do you get tired of all these snide remarks about your Man City fans, your Man City roots?
I think it's very difficult because you see, I saw someone commented online, like this generation with the younger kids. Obviously Man City is one of the top teams in this current generation. And of course, I think with Singapore fans, especially the younger fans, will latch on to success. And I think it also happens when United was the main force in the 90s, even for Liverpool. So I think times have changed. So it's quite difficult when you call people a glory hunter. It's kind of like very subjective. Like when you ask someone who's born in 2008, if they come support, like say, I support Man City. Do you call them a glory hunter? Of course they do, because that's the football that, if you talk about the storyline, like United was the top team, like they were like, huh? They cannot even relate in that sense. So I feel that glory hunter terminology is very, very subjective.
I think it's true that every generation, if there's a dominant team, people will support the dominant team.
I don't really know, because I've never met anyone who supports Manchester City.
Not yet, but maybe the next
sitting
generation.
next to one.
Yeah, well, apart from you. All right, let's get to Manchester City then, get it over with. We'll talk about Manchester City. As we sit here, they've just won their 3rd title in a row. Fifth title in 6 seasons. It is special. It is unique what Manchester City have done. I mean, they are the first team in EPL history to win 3 leagues in a row whilst facing 155 charges for cheating. But
he must put it in.
Allegedly.
So
how do you feel about it? 3 titles in a row, 5 in 6 years.
Which one does this feel special? Does this one feel special?
I mean, if you look at it, Ferguson did it before, 3 titles back to back. 3 in a row. Yeah. So I think to have that benchmark to where Pep is right now, I think it's an achievement. I think for City fans, especially those long-suffering fans, like the older fans who have like when we were practically terrible, living under United shadows, to be where we are right now, I mean, it's achievement worth celebrating, despite, the 115 charges.
155?
Increase. I mean, they will definitely increase. There will be more and more. So I think we're just gonna enjoy the good times. I mean, this is the golden era for City fans. Glory Hunter, old-timer fans, we're just gonna enjoy it as it is. If you ask United fans, like, to be where we are right now, I think they will take it because
there's more Man U fans in this room than there are Man City fans in Singapore. No. Probably. So enjoy it. All 6 of you. Enjoy the moment. All 6 of you that live in his house. Enjoy the moment before you get them all taken away.
But really, I mean, the way they did it is just amazing. They dropped points on February the 18th. That's like 3 months ago against Nottingham Forest 1-1. And after that, they won 11 league matches in a row. And during that 11 league matches in a row, that's like 990 minutes. 990 minutes. They only trailed for 10 minutes against Liverpool.
Just get it in.
That's how good they were.
But let me ask you this, right? Being objective. Their first half performance against Real Madrid is probably the most destructive one-sided performance I have seen in football in 10 or 15 years, particularly at that elite level. You've got 2 sides playing at the apex, and it was so one-sided, it was utterly extraordinary. But how much did you really care? It was very hard for me to feel much in that game. Maybe it's just me, but what did you think?
I mean, after I saw, because it was in the morning, early morning, so I woke up and I saw the scoreline. I was like, whoa, 4-0 against Real Madrid, that's something. And then because I watched the highlights and I thought, wow, that is some magnificent performances. But, obviously I'm not a Man City fan. And then, this things like, sometimes you wish for more drama. I mean, you hope that, it will be like 1-1 or 1-0 and it'll be very tight. And then, there's some emotional outpouring of emotion after that. But, obviously, like you say, sometimes they just overpowered everybody and then you feel like, oh, okay, well, that's another final for them. They're going for a treble. They're probably going to win it. There's not much of a drama. That's the only thing that I feel like is missing from supporting, being a really neutral and good supporter of Man City.
I feel like this is a press conference for...
Yeah, like press conference for asking him. Like,
Okay, I think...
Singapore Festival of Football, right?
I think as a City fan, I think last season, people forget that there was drama when it comes to City. Like that Aston Villa game, that drama. So I think when it comes to the Champions League, this season, everyone know that the main goal for City is the Champions League. So we kind of like, when it comes after the first leg of the game, I think a lot of Real Madrid fans was like, okay, Real Madrid will step up their game. But then Pep being Pep, even across City fans, we were kind of like cautious, like saying that we're not going to destroy Real Madrid to what we did. It's going to be a close fight. But then again, the result shows otherwise. So I think taking it as it is, we will just take whatever it comes. We're not gonna be cautious. We're just not gonna throw. We are gonna go and secure for the kill because we want the Champions League final. We really want it. Yeah. So I think the fear of that first leg of the game where we played against Real Madrid, that cautiousness, we are playing at home. It's like we're not gonna lie down for Real Madrid to show their superiority.
Are you expecting some sort of sympathy here?
No, I'm not.
Are we supposed to be
defending my club? I'm defending my club.
Defending the club. All right.
But enough of Man City.
Well, last thing about Manchester City.
I want to talk some more. Okay.
Yeah, last thing. The only issue about Manchester, well, it's many, but the key issue for Manchester City, for me now, is there's a real sense of inevitability whenever they play. And elite sport should never be inevitable. There has to be a sense of jeopardy. There has to be a sense of loss. There has to be a real sense for the audience that we are risking something or losing something or... I don't feel that with Manchester City. It's an industrial machine of relentless petrodollars being pumped in endlessly, gushing oil well after oil well into this soft PR exercise as they dominate the world's attention for geopolitical reasons. But I've got no opinion on it.
Anyone have salt? Anyone have salt for Neil?
Yeah, that's all. So enjoy it. I hope you win the treble, and good luck in court. Now, moving on. Stop laughing. Moving on. What have we done now?
Let's talk about Arsenal.
Let's talk about Arsenal. Yes.
Do you think they've bottled the title chase? They were leading for a record 248 days of the season. They were leading. That's by far the record. It's more than the Newcastle during the 1996 season. So, but they couldn't win the title. They've lost the title. So, do you think it's a massive choke job by Arsenal, or do you think how would we look at Arsenal this season, 10 years down the line?
I think Arsenal didn't choke. I think Arsenal overachieved. But if you talk to Man U fans, they'll say they choked. If you talk to Chelsea fans, they'll say they choked. If you talk to Man City fans, they'll say they choked. Why? Because they're from a perspective and a background where they've supported teams that are used to winning. I grew up supporting West Ham, and they're crap. So I'm used to them losing. So this idea of choking is neither here nor there to me. I'm used to supporting an average team that sometimes overachieves. Arsenal is not a superior team. Arsenal is not an elite team to compare with Man U, Liverpool, or even Chelsea in terms of resources. Objectively, take emotion out of the equation, Arsenal overachieved. They finished last season 5th. They finished this season 2nd. They've got a much better squad. They play much better football. On any gauge, any way you want to measure it, Arsenal overachieved. Only if you take emotion out of it. Of course, they were leading the table and this, that, and the other. They've got a weaker squad. Once they lost Saliba, their defence almost fell apart. Once they lost Zinchenko at left back, they couldn't recover. Ben White on the other fullback, not in the same league as the Kyle Walkers of the world, right? Up front, yes, they scored, but they did suffer a bit when Jesus was injured. What it was a limited squad that just, in the end, was exposed for its limitations. To me, that's not choking, they overachieved.
Haizam, were you ever nervous about not winning the title all throughout the season?
Okay, as a City fan, and I agree with what you mentioned about Arsenal leading the pack for most of the season, I was expecting them to win. I think until Saliba got injured, then I felt that looking at the squad that they have, and I spoke to my Arsenal sporting friends as well, they overachieved, number one. And number two is that they did not expect to be where they are right now. So the fact that they were leading for most of the table with City behind, breathing down their necks, losing arguably their most important spine of the team. Definitely, with no leader in the team, remember that. I don't see any leaders that will step up and rara the Arsenal squad during match day. So I feel that that's the downfall in that sense. But to look at the squad, start of the season, I think Arsenal fans were just, we'll take it. Even, you can call us bottlers and whatnot, but at least we are pushing. We did push City to the
Absolutely.
pack.
Absolutely. Look at the other teams, all crap. Like my team like that,
Well, let's get to your team.
Yes.
We've got a final weekend of the season coming up. Liverpool has an outside chance, mathematically, of making the top 4. They won't. But they have an outside chance. Man, you are in there. Newcastle are in there. Let's start with Liverpool first. How would you rate their season?
I mean, good end, but truly crappy season. I mean, it was like injury hit. We were injury hit, and then everybody lost form at the wrong time. Even Virgil van Dijk lost form, and that it's going to be a bad season. It was very clear by the middle of the season that we need to rebuild, and we need a lot of people a lot more new players to rebuild the team, and which is why eventually they sort of let slip. They say they were not going to sign Jude Bellingham anymore. So I mean, understandable, but it's also a very crushing disappointment. So it's been a disappointing season. You can't deny that after what happened last season. So hopefully things might change for better. The ending, the last few weeks were not bad. I think they are back to somewhere near their best form. Hopefully that carries on to the next season. from Singapore onwards, and then maybe things will be better. But no, you never tell. You can never tell. It's a very uncertain pre-season, post-season ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll move on briefly to Tottenham. That's Tottenham done. All right. Who cares about Tottenham? They're rubbish. Right? And our Tottenham supporters not listening. Right. So Tottenham were very Spursy. They were rubbish. The end. Right. Moving on. Man U. Let's do Man U. Man U improved. And maybe we'll get a microphone to Rasvinder in a moment. We'll get Rasvinder's thoughts on this, Man U fan. Man U have improved marginally. They've won the League Cup, obviously. They should finish in the top 4.
FA Cup final?
FA Cup final they will lose, but they're there. The best thing about Man U for me this season, by far, is they've had the player of the season.
The what?
By far, the number 1 player of the season has been at Man U. You know who he is?
David Gea.
Wout Weghorst. That man is the funniest player I've ever seen in the history of the EPL. I don't know how he's playing for them. I don't know how he's up front. I don't think he's ever going to score a goal again. I don't know why he keeps being picked. He looks like someone who occasionally resembles a footballer who's just won a football kit for the day.
I thought you were going to say
brilliant.
I thought you were going to say Cristiano Ronaldo.
No. I hope Weghorst gets a 10-year contract. I hope he never leaves Man U. I think he's absolutely fantastic.
But they do need a striker, no?
Exactly. And the fact that he's played for them so long and so often just shows you that Erik ten Hag, a bit like Arteta in a way, has arguably overachieved because no real striker. Marcus Rashford has stepped up, done very well. He's got a slight illness at the moment, but he's done very well. Fernandes, still very mercurial. Same with David De Gea. What do you think, Rasvinder? You're the Man U fan, regular on our podcast. What do you think of their season so far?
First up, Haizam, you're going for the treble. 2 of my teams lie in wait.
Inter.
Yes.
Inter Milan.
I'm also an Inter fan, so yeah, it's not going to be easy.
Singaporean, you've got many teams.
It's not going to be easy, but yeah, let's go. Okay, so on Manchester United, it's been a good season. There's every possibility that we might screw it up. We still got to get it across the line. It's not over until it's over. So we just got to get it across the line. I think, as you've mentioned, I think we've played the best team that we can possibly play. We're lacking depth. We've played the best team we can possibly play in all the cup competitions. We've done the best we can. And eventually, he got found out as well because it became 1 game too many and we started losing players and then the replacements weren't that good. So here we are. Now we are almost there. Unfortunately, at this point in time, our holy grail, which is qualifying to the Champions League, but that's where the club is right now. So we got to take our baby steps forward, and so far so good, I guess. Yeah. Only one thing I got to mention about the defense, as I've mentioned before the show, a little odd. At times we've looked really sturdy, and also at times we've looked really porous. So it's a bit of an iffy. It's a bit of a conundrum.
Yeah, but at least next season you don't have Phil Jones anymore. That's
Yeah.
Harry Maguire.
Phil Jones is still better than Harry Maguire.
Oh,
And you lost a key game at West Ham again. So for me, it was a very good season for Man U.
That's just to help you out.
Yeah, we needed the help. Thank you very much. Thanks, Rasvinder. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Final weekend in the English Premier League this season. The key battle, really, barring a miracle, is not the top 4. It's probably going to be Newcastle and Man U. Who's getting relegated? Let's go down the line. Who's getting relegated? Keong.
Well, I mean, you can't look past Leicester and Leeds to join Southampton to go down, I think. I think Leicester is such a sad story. I think they're just champions barely 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But, this also shows you how far, even with a Thai billionaire, you're still struggling to survive in the EPL. They've obviously had to sell all their best players, and then they made some bad decisions, tactical decisions, managerial decisions. It all adds up now. They are in deep trouble. If they don't beat Newcastle in the midweek, I think they are in serious trouble.
Yeah. Haizam?
I feel that Leicester definitely will go down. That's one. I'm sorry, Neil. No, I predicted that West Ham was going to go down. in the Snapshot podcast.
I predict you're going to get your titles taken away. Let's see who wins.
But I think Forest kind of have that sudden second win of churning out results. I think the Forest Arsenal game was really a surprise for me because I was expecting for them to just that form that they have. Arsenal's gonna keep up the momentum, and then Arsenal lost by a single goal. So I think Forest might pull that great escape.
Yeah.
For some reasons, because if you look at it, the number of players that come in at Nottingham Forest this season is kind of like they can have like 3 teams. Leeds definitely will go down, I feel.
Yep.
The fact that they sacked Bielsa, it's already an insult because the fact that you had like arguably the best manager that brought you guys up, just because you guys had a bad few games and then suddenly off you go. And then still, you guys are still down. So I think Leeds and Leicester will go down.
There's only one question I want to know. Why can't Everton go down?
What is this? No, come on. What is this pathological obsession with Everton?
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, but man, you's your enemy, right?
Oh.
Everton just like
From
the
the
next door
80s,
neighbours.
Us United, whether they value...
Everton, their glory days was in the 80s, and then now they still say they are the best team in Merseyside. I just cannot stand it. Cannot stand it.
They don't seriously say they're the best team in Merseyside.
They did, okay. But okay.
But they're like the poor country cousins, Everton. I kind of feel a bit sorry for them. I like them in the 80s. Leeds, yes. I think Leeds are gone. No problem there. I agree about Leicester. Leicester will be the really sad one.
Yeah.
Because that's like shooting Bambi. I mean, you can't relegate Leicester. They've got the greatest Cinderella story arguably in sports history, never mind football history. It'll never be happened again. I'd never seen anything like it in my lifetime. So I really hope they don't go down. I kind of hope Everton stay up because I just want you to burst a blood vessel for no other reason than that, to be honest. Other than that, I don't really care because West Ham is staying up.
That's why
West Ham is staying up, and that's all that matters. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we've got a live audience today, do you have any questions for us, please? Yes, we've got a gentleman down here.
My name is Ming Lai. I'm an Arsenal fan. Yeah,
Sorry?
I agree as well. They overachieved.
Sorry about what happened.
Worries. In your opinion, who's the greatest of all time? Pep, Klopp,
Greatest
in this modern
Manager.
football?
greatest manager of all time?
Yeah.
I've got to say Guardiola. Because he improves players. He genuinely improves players in a way that most managers don't. If you look at Grealish, I did not think Grealish was going to work out at Man City. I really didn't. I thought he was going to be a bench player, £100 million misfit. He's moved on to a completely different level now. That's down to Guardiola. He's managed to get and sustain the careers of Kyle Walker. John Stones is finally living up to his real Bobby Moore / Rio Ferdinand-like potential that he had as a young player. I think a lot of that's down to Guardiola. He had some positional issues when he was younger. If you compare the two careers of John Stones and Harry Maguire, you'll see why Pep Guardiola gets the money he gets. Because if you go back 5, 6, 7 years, there wasn't much to choose between Stones and Maguire at international level. But now, John Stones has gone to the moon and poor old Maguire is currently digging his way to the centre of the earth. So for that reason alone, I'll go with Guardiola.
Okay, my biased view is Bill Shankly. Okay, but
You said this generation.
This generation. Well, still Jurgen Klopp.
You're still going to say Bill Shankly.
Still say Jurgen Klopp. Okay. But I understand why Guardiola. I think he has made a great case for being one of the greatest managers of this generation. I think fair enough. He has transformed the game in positively. I mean, if you compare him and Jose Mourinho plays it like a very cynical kind of negative defensive kind of manner, which wins trophies, but doesn't really do much to make football better. I think Guardiola has definitely made football fun to watch. The team, if you objectively look at Man City, fun to watch, and also the team is built to win as many trophies as they can.
Yeah, I agree. But I actually prefer Klopp. I know who's the best manager. I still say Guardiola, but I actually prefer Klopp. Who do you think?
I have to be biased. Pep, definitely. Okay, but I think, but here's the thing. For me, okay, let's put my blue tinted glasses aside. Okay, for Klopp, I think he brought that gegen pressing game to the EPL, which is unheard of if you compare, when you're talking about English Premier League. Pep is the kind where I would love to be a fly on the wall whenever he thinks. Because he has always this mindset that it's like 24/7 he's always thinking about football. He doesn't think about his personal life. He's always thinking about football. Like how do you improve? Like people talk about tiki-taka was Pep creation, and I think Pep said that he didn't create tiki-taka. This football philosophy that he has was taken from a lot of managers that he understudied. So, in terms of revolutionary, I would say that yes, to a certain extent, but Pep is the kind of manager where he will always talk about football. I think if he goes on a date, right, he will talk to the date about football, and the date will just be bored. Like, why are you talking about football? So comparing Klopp and Pep is really going to be very difficult, and especially because I'm a City fan. Definitely, I would say that Pep is the best manager. But from a footballing perspective, you have to look at how Pep tried to transform how he plays. While Klopp has always comes in with that gegen pressing, and that's the problem when now he's suffering because the players that he wants is not available. That fits that gegen pressing plays.
Just to add to that very briefly, but that actually I think makes Guardiola an even better manager because he's seen what Klopp has done with the gegen pressing, and he's added in Haaland and added a speed and intensity.
That's what I was going to say. He adapts to the situation.
He's the best adaptable manager.
He's adapting that. I think past few seasons, a lot of City fans were saying that when Pep has no plan A, there's no plan B.
Yeah, but I think it's close. I think it's close.
But it's a close year.
Him and David Moyes. I think there's not much to choose between.
Don't quote me on that, David Moyes.
Yeah, you can quote me.
But no debate on transfer budgets between Liverpool.
Okay, let's put it this way. If Klopp has that budget, he will need to find the players that will fit the gegen pressing. But then if the gegen pressing gets stuck, does he have a plan B? That's the issue. If you look at it like, okay, I'll be blunt with you. If you look at Liverpool, when they sold money off, you see how disjointed Liverpool became. That's where the problem starts. Where there's no like for like player for money, and that's where Liverpool fans were saying that we shouldn't have sold money off. Because that three, and now now with Firmino leaving, Klopp has to think of ways of how do I revitalize this team if I were to stick to my philosophy of gegen pressing with these three up front.
And just to add to your point, because I think it is a really, really good point. If you look at that, 3-4 year period of transfers when Klopp bought from 2018 to about, I think that is the single most extraordinary, successful period of transfer purchases in any team.
Yes.
I think it's absolutely extraordinary, even better than Man City. The way that they just bought the best centre-back, the best goalkeeper, the best forward, on a reasonable budget, not an unlimited budget. That will never be repeated. It's not possible. But over a period of time, Man City have bought really well. You've only got to look at the mess that Man U were in until recently, right? Who spent more than Man City, I believe, right?
Chelsea.
And look at the absolute basket case that Chelsea is at the moment. I mean, if you guys sit around long enough, you will get bought by Chelsea. I mean, that's just the mess of Chelsea at the moment. So for that reason alone, Guardiola again.
Yeah, I think Chelsea is a very, very good example that you can have the unlimited money, but when you don't have a manager who doesn't know what he wants or how to play the team, you get a mess.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great question. Thank you. One more question, please.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you one very simple question. Is the EPL the best league in the world?
Better than Singapore Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real festival of football.
A festival of football.
Well, seeing as I write on the EPL for Yahoo, available on all Yahoo platforms, of course it's the best league in the world. It's the most popular league in the world. I don't think, we talked about this earlier, I'm not sure it's as, I'm trying to think of the right word here, as visceral as it was before. I think something has been lost because it's become such an international global, it's a global league, right? Before, every team had a core element of local players. Manchester boys at Man U, class of 92. Liverpool boys, Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard. West Ham had Mark Noble, Rio Ferdinand, and so on. Chelsea had John Terry and Frank Lampard. Every team had a core of local boys. And that made it really nasty. If you go back to the days of Arsenal Man U, you had all of like the Martin Keongs and the Tony Adams and all these players, Ray Parlour. They hated Man U. It was real. It wasn't an act. And then you've got the Man U class of 92, the Neville brothers. I mean, Gary Neville running the length of the pitch to kiss his badge in front of Liverpool, right? Fantastic. I mean, you can see the Liverpool fans' heads explode with pure, venomous hatred. I miss that. I do miss that volatility.
I agree. That kind of really competitive fire. Right now, it's just like, well, we'll compete, but there's not much intensity.
They were hugging. The last time they had a big derby, Man City and Liverpool, they're hugging and a kiss.
But it's true all over in every league. I mean, right now I still feel EPL is still the most open kind of.
Oh, still the best.
Yeah, still the best. I mean, Serie A is past it. La Liga, you know who will eventually win, like Barcelona.
Still the best.
It's always
Barcelona, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Real Madrid. Bundesliga, well,
it's the same thing.
Bayern Munich
or
but
Dortmund.
It could be Borussia Dortmund this season, though.
Yeah.
But still.
Luckily, we've got the EPL, which is completely unpredictable, and they've just won five leagues.
I just won 5. It's relatively better than others.
But we'll have to wrap it up now. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you all for watching part 1 of our English Premier League podcast. Give yourselves a big round of applause. Thank you very much, our first live audience. As always, thank you for watching on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, where else? TikTok, Instagram. Please send all of your comments and questions and queries to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG, Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SEA on TikTok.
And we'll see you in part 2, where we get stuck into Singapore football. Thanks for watching. See you there.